Hi everybody, Gatesy from Forge from Iron. I'm joined by my wingman, my co-pilot, Mr. Duke Stribbling. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, my friend. Very well indeed. You're looking good. You're looking
Wow.
good. You're looking like you nicely shaven heads. Clean shaven. I like it. I like it a lot.
I had a shave when I got home from work just for you.
Just for this lovely video. I like it. I like it a lot.
The old king of shaves went round the chops. Am I allowed to do a bit of advertising?
Oh, well, listen, if they're going to come on and help us out, maybe we'll start plugging them a bit more.
Absolutely. If anyone from King of Shaves is watching, you know, I'm getting a bit low on razors and the old shaving, not gel. It's like
It's a really good shave, though, isn't it?
it
It is. It's a great shave.
really good.
We'll tag them on Twitter when it goes out. Don't worry, we've got it. It's all right. We'll
Absolutely.
sort it out.
Good
We'll get them
idea.
on. Well,
So
next couple of weeks we'll have King of Shaves rolling along the bottom there, and all with a bit of luck. You know, King of Shaves, that great shave, King of Shaves.
listen,
King of Shaves.
if it brings in a few coppers into the old fighting fund, I'm all for it. It's not a problem.
The King of Shaves on, yeah, I like it. Yeah, great shave, King of Shaves. Yeah,
it was fantastic. You know, it's like a baby's backside. It really is. When I say that, I'm talking about in smoothness, not how it smells. You know, so just in case.
Just in case.
Okay, so I had a little idea, and I've decided to pull Duke in because he's basically going to be my crash test dummy. And if this doesn't sort of like look that good when we look back at it, this might get binned very quickly. So there you go. Anyway,
if you're seeing it went well. That's what we're saying,
yes,
right? If this goes out, it's a good video.
It went well.
Stick around.
So a few of the other West Ham fan channels, notably Hammer's Chat, they did an excellent one earlier on today with Gio and Charlie. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. It's excellent. But I thought I'd do our own little twist on it because the way that they did it was everybody was watching it and I was watching it, and they would put out the squad, and they would have like a tier of like key players. You know, they'll do for now, not too sure, and get rid of them, with the 4 categories, and you'd have to put each player in. So, and they put it out to everybody that was in the chat, and everybody in the chat would sort of say tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and they would try and pick out, you know, what the general consensus was. And what I thought of doing would be to have a one-to-one interview, as it were, and get individuals' points of view.
So I see
where they go.
So, guinea pig.
You are the guinea pig.
Right. Okay then. Smash.
You are my bitch.
I've been called worse. I'm not going to lie to you.
You have. But we won't go there.
You've been there.
I know. Right. So, without too much further ado, let's get it on, as Mills Lane, the boxing referee, used to say. So, Mr. Stribbling, can you see the screen in front of you? Because if you can't, then this isn't really much good.
The players are incredibly small. I mean, we're talking... So you're going to have... I can't pretty much pick them up properly. So just as you read them out, give me a name so I can realise who it is. There are a couple there that I can actually pick up on, but yeah. Far away, I'm with you then. Go on.
Right. So we've got at the top, we've got players with a long-term future.
Yeah.
Underneath that is the category a season or 2, but beyond that, you're not too sure. Unsure as to whether you're going to involve them in the squad. This is all for next season, obviously.
Yeah.
And then the final category is very simple. See ya. So that is either players you're going to sell on, or players that are out of contract in the summer and you're just going to say, nah, we're not renewing it. Thanks very much for your service. There's the door. Don't let it hit you on the way out.
Right.
So,
okay.
Now, I have, I believe, got a few players more than what the Hammers Chat boys did, simply because I'm greedy so-and-so.
Fair enough. There's 21 players there. It's a squad. So yeah,
it's actually a few more than that. I think there's 23, I think I counted.
Oh, I see. That's only what I can see on my screen.
There you go. Well, so, and I believe these are all in alphabetical order. So we'll just go with it. We'll just go with it alphabetically. So, Duke, the first player that I come to is a player that hasn't actually played a first-team game yet. We bought him in January from Silkeborg in Denmark, I believe. And his name is Frederick Alves. So, your thoughts? Long-term future, a season or two, but not sure beyond that, unsure, or see ya?
Right. Well, again, like you say, he hasn't kicked the ball in the first team yet this season, or he hasn't at least started. I know he's been on the bench a couple of times, but from what Sin released in the press and everything else that came out over the last few days is that Moyes holds this young lad in incredible high regard, like unbelievable. He sees this kid as the future of our defence. I mean, listen, for me, he's got to go in tier two. He's got to go, a season or two. Let's see where he takes us. At the end of the day, he's a young lad. He's got an incredible amount of potential, and we said this with Issa Diop and Fabian Balbowena when we got these guys in. That fantastic potential and everything else, and we've seen just how quickly it can go from here to here and then kind of hover. So I'd stick him in a season or two. Let's see how he gets on next season. I think again, if he's highly rated by Moyes, then we can't go too far wrong. And yeah, we go from there really.
Yeah, I think I'd be inclined to agree with you. I mean, Moyes has obviously brought him in. He sees something in him. Whether he'll cut it, well, that remains to be seen. So I would say, yeah, a season or two. Beyond that, listen, if he sort of he cuts the mustard next season and the season after that, I'd say, yep, then he possibly goes into the long-term future category.
Yeah, I mean, if we do this again next season, he jumps up one if he has a fantastic season. So, it's that wait and see what we get from him.
Absolutely. So the next player on the list alphabetically, Michail Antonio.
Oh, I'm going to be very, very, very different to what I think a few people here are going to say. And for me, he sits on the line. And I know you can't put people on the line in this one. I know you can't drop him over two boxes.
No splinters in your backside.
No. For me, he literally sits on that season or two unsure. He really does. I don't see him having a long-term future with us because of those hamstrings. I honest to God, I mean, if we were to use him as an impact sub for the next 3 or 4 years, then yeah, he has a long-term future with the club. If you could bring him on, like your different lineups for your NFL games, where you have an offense and a defense kind of setup. I remember. Do you remember the Scottish captain? Was it Gavin Hastings? Wasn't it?
Yes.
He went out to the NFL and he stretched his career out by another, I think, 18 months, 2 years by being the penalty kick taker and the kickoff guy for an NFL team.
Didn't Clive Allen do that as well?
Possibly.
Didn't Clive Allen, I'm sure Clive Allen did it. I don't know if that was maybe for. I don't think it was NFL. I think it might have been. I don't know. Maybe something like the London Monarchs or something like that back in the day.
Possibly.
But I got a vague recollection that Clive Allen had a little dabble with something like that.
But that for me, that's my Michail Antonio. I'm going to be incredibly, people are going to come at me for this comment, and I know people will come at me for this comment. But for me, he sits on that season or two and unsure line because for me, he really is only one big tear or strain away from being finished. I mean, you've
got to make a decision though. Where are you going to put him?
I'll stick him in season or two, but for me, he really does border on the line. Long-term future is for me is going to be used for the younger starlets, if you will. This for me, he's on that borderline now where, he's only, what is he, 30?
Yes, he's 30. Yep,
he's 30 years old, but one big twang of them hammies going, and it could be a very short, sharp shock end to his career as a footballer, not necessarily as just as a West Ham player. If we're looking at players like Ivan Toney and Armstrong, his West Ham career could be over pretty soon if we bring in both of those. You see what I mean? So, listen, I'm a big fan of Mikel Antonio. He will give everything for the club. He will go out and he will run himself into the ground. He will sweat claret and blue and bleed claret and blue. But unfortunately, with the younger players that are coming in and with his injuries the way they are, I just don't see him probably having much more than a season, unfortunately, left with us.
Yeah, I agree with you. Exactly where you've put him is where I would put him if I was doing this. I mean, he's 30 years of age. I don't think long-term future you can ever put anyone that's 30 years of age, certainly not 32 and beyond, in long-term future category for me, and especially someone that has the questionable injury record that he clearly does. So I would also put him in the season or two category. So we move on. So the next player, Fabian Balbowena. Now, he is, to the best of my understanding, out of contract in the summer.
Yes, and I would sign him up tomorrow with a new contract.
Okay.
He's going to sit in a season or two, but he kind of sits in that long-term future season or two bracket, whereas Antonio goes the other way. From what I've seen of Balbowena when he's been asked to step in this season, he's done well. I mean, he got the COVID, which was unfortunate for him, same as Diop. So he kind of sits on that bracket of long-term future and a season or two. Again, a bit like Frederick Alves. Has a good season next year, then he's considered a long-term future for the club. Because, again, he's still, I mean, I'm not sure how old he is, to be honest with you,
Balbowena, he's 29, I do believe.
Oh, he is. See, so he's got at least 4 or 5 years in him. When you look at the likes of some of the other players that have managed to have a long, lengthy career, he's not old, if you will. He's still got at least 4 or 5 years left as a senior pro. You look, if they look after themselves. So I'd put him. Yeah, he goes season or two, but for him to step up into that next bracket, like Alves, he needs to have a bloody good season next year, and make it very difficult for Moyes to leave him out of the squad, let alone out of the 11, let alone the squad.
So you would give him a new contract in the summer, and you would put him in your season or two category, and then revise it.
Yeah,
4-year contract.
I'd give him a 4-year contract. I really would. 4 or 5 year contract. Listen, it doesn't have to be a huge. It doesn't have to be huge wages. We don't want to be bogged down on a huge wage kind of long-term deal with the likes of Wilshere or Yarmolenko or the others. But you give him a nice signing on fee that negates the need for a large weekly wage. And then if in 18 months' time it's not looking like it's working, you can command a fee enough for him from another club, but his wages are not going to be off-putting to anyone that's looking to sign him.
Fair enough. Okay. So next on the list, Jarrod Bowen.
He walks into the top tier as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
I think he has all the potential. I think he has all the desire. He's had his health issues. He's looked a little bit ropey this season. Listen, every player has a dip in form as far as I'm concerned at several points in their career. I think he's got all the drive, all the desire, all the want, all the passion. When you listen to interviews that he's given and other bits and pieces, he says all the right things for me. I really do like Jarrod Bowen. I'm a big fan. I think he can develop his career at West Ham. And again, if it doesn't seem to be working out, he's he fits the criteria, if you will. Although he's not, if he's not a top-ended player, he certainly fits that kind of 8th down to 13th kind of block in the league that he would do well for. You know, your likes of, I'm not trying to flog the kid on, but Palace and, you know, that kind of gap of Southampton, he'd do well in teams like that. If it's not going to work out in a top 4 European team that hopefully we're going to move on to be, then, you know, he's 24 years old. I think he's got a great career in front of him. So for me, I'm not quite sure when his contract for us runs out. I do think we signed him to a 5-year deal 18 months ago. Is that right? Or a year ago, actually?
I'm not
or a
100%
4.5-year
sure. That could be right, but I'm not sure. I'd have to check.
But that takes him through to 29. I mean, he's not a babe. He's certainly not, 2021. He's at an age now where he should have already found his feet, and he's as such his final position in his career, if you will, he's or a position that he's finally comfortable in. No, like I say, big fan of Jared Bowen. I think he's got a great career for us. He could lead this team from the front and take us forward.
I got to be honest. I hear what you're saying. Me personally, I put him in the category below. I think if this was Jared Bowen after we signed him in last season, I would have absolutely said long-term future. This season, I don't think he's possibly progressed, possibly as much as I was expecting on the basis of what I saw last season. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think he's quite carried on that same trajectory. Now, I understand that obviously it's come out in the last few weeks that he has certain medical issues that are going on, health issues, whatever it is. And I don't know anything more than that. I can hazard a guess, but that's all I can do. So that's a mitigating circumstance. But the one criticism that I think everybody's leveled against him is that he doesn't get his head up enough. And for me, that's got nothing to do with any sort of medical issue. That's just a sort of like a flaw in his game. That's a flaw that can be ironed out. It's not a flaw that he can't correct. But you do sit there and think, well, at 24 years of age, he should probably be doing that anyway. That should have been coached out of him a few years ago. For me.
Oh, it should have been, but then you can also put that down to the coaching team at the minute. It just it's something that needs working on. He's got a contract until 2025. Personally, I'd give it 18 months, and if he has a fantastic next 18 months, for me, I'd be tying him down to a longer term contract. I'd look at another 4 or 5 year deal again for him if he can put in the form that, like you say, he did 18 months or a year ago. I'd certainly be signing him up. And in fact, it was a year ago because did he score in his debut?
No, not on his debut, but on his
home debut.
On his home start, his first home start.
That was it.
Got the goal against
and then obviously we went into lockdown soon afterwards, didn't we? So it was just over a year ago he signed for us. No, I mean I think he's a cracking player, and I look forward to seeing him develop significantly more than he already has.
Fair enough. Next one, I'm guessing this one should be fairly easy, but you never know. You might disagree with me. Vladimir Sufal.
Right, now with Vlad, he has a long-term future at the club.
Why do I sense a but?
No. There's no but there. I mean, he's 28.
Yeah.
But he's only signed on. His contract ends in the summer of 2023. So he's only got another 2 years on his contract. Just over 2 years. Now, for me, that takes him up to 30. Kind of good age for a defender. That kind of. Why we only got him till 2023? Why are we dicking around? Why are we already not sitting down with this guy and saying, you know what, for the £5 million you cost us, he's been outstanding at right back, and he's been one of the more outstanding right backs in the Premier League this season. If we're not careful, we could lose him. We need to get him tied down to another contract tomorrow. That's got to be up there for me with a new contract for. Listen, we'll get there in a bit. Declan Rice, Thomas Souček. He needs a new contract. Let's not mess around. Let's get this boy a new contract. He's, for me, he has a long-term future with the club, but not if he's only on a contract to 2023. That's 2 years. That's the next level down. So for me, he's got a long-term future. But if the club want to keep him as a long-term future, we've got to get him signed up now.
So if if you was David Moyes, because as I say, this is if Duke was the West Ham manager. So you're going to put Vladimir Sufal long-term future.
Long-term future and get him on a new contract. Damn right, I'll get him on a new contract.
Completely agree. Couldn't agree more. For me, and I've said this to a number of different people, for me, he's certainly the best right back that West Ham have had since, in my opinion, Tim Breaker. And there's an argument to be had that he is possibly our best right back since Ray Stewart. Now that, for me, is quite an accolade to put on someone that has come in and has only played 20 games, 20 league games anyway, or thereabouts. And yet, we're already talking about him in those terms. Now, I do sort of have a little bit of I do have to sort of kind of put the handbrake on a little bit because, correct me if I'm wrong, Sebastian Schemmel was a right back, wasn't he? And I remember his first season, and he came in and he looked absolutely magnificent. And I'm fairly sure he got Hammer of the Year. And then the following season, he just dropped off a cliff as far as his performances were concerned. So I'm trying to sort of not get too carried away. I think he's been absolutely magnificent this season and is a definite contender for Hammer of the Year. But I need to see it next season as well. Before I say, on the basis of what I've seen, he's absolutely magnificent.
He's a different gravy. He's a completely different gravy to or however you want to condiment, if you whatever, to the likes of Sebastian Schemmel, because they make them differently in the Eastern Bloc.
Yeah, I think they because they've come from.
Yeah, they've come from that without kind of alienating a group of people. It's a working class. It's a very hard working background that they come from. No disrespect to the French, but where's the flag? It's a completely different background. It's a completely different outlook on life, completely different understanding. You only have to go back and look at one of the other Czech Republic guys that we had pay for our cup. In Big Ludo, he gave everything. Thomas Souček gives everything. I think they're just built differently from the Eastern Bloc, and I think they have a different outlook and understanding. Sebastian Schemmel, he came in, he had a great season, he was lauded over by the fans, and it all went to his head, and he kind of meh, and didn't bother after that. So for me, no, I don't think we're going to have that issue with Big Vlad.
Yeah, I think you're right, but as I say, I just I just want to be careful. I think he's been magnificent this season, but as I say, I do remember Schemmel, and he was sort of similarly someone that I thought, oh wow, we've got ourselves a right player here, and then the following season it was is this the same guy? So
can I ask you a question?
Of course you can.
Right. So we've done A. We've done the Bs. We've already moved on to the Cs. We're missing a B.
Go on.
Unless he's under S.
What's that?
Where's Said?
Hang on. You're right. He is missing. This is why we've done this as a test run, people. This is why we've done this as a test run. To pick up little flaws like this. You're right. Ben Rama is indeed missing. So, okay. Yeah, no, well spotted. He's not there.
He goes in
Okay.
anyway, by the way.
Where does Ben Rama go?
He goes on the top one. He's a long-term future for me.
Okay.
I wouldn't put him off after. It's not been the greatest of starts for him, granted, but I certainly, for me, he's still a 4 or 5 year person in the making, and he will still become that player. I still think he's a core, integral part of our future.
Yeah. See, again, I want to put him long-term future, and I probably should, but I'm just thinking, well, he hasn't quite done
You're
it
only going
yet.
to end up with 1 or 2 at the top, aren't you?
Maybe. I think I would say a season or 2, and again, it depends upon what he produces in this next season or 2 as to whether he would then maybe move up a rung or move down or 1 or 2. So
he's already there for me. We'll do your one tomorrow.
That's fair enough. No problem.
So we'll do your one.
I'll try and remember Saeed Ben Rama this time. Right, now, this one here, Connor Coventry.
Right. If I'm honest, this is probably the first year that I haven't given an abundance of time to the developmental squads and to the under 23s. This is the first year I really haven't spent some time watching. So, no disrespect to Connor. What I know of Connor is pretty much only what I've heard from others and from what I've seen. So for me, again, like Antonio, he sits on that. I'm unsure. Next season after is his big breakthrough time for us. If we hadn't sold Cullen at the end of last, at the start of this season, this would be Cullen we're talking about and not Coventry. And again, with Cullen, it'd be that unsure year or 2 kind of a backup as to whether I'd where I'd put him. So no disrespect to Connor Coventry, I haven't got an abundance of knowledge on him. Going from what I'm being told, he needs to be given a run of games in the first team, even if that's next season with qualification, fingers crossed, for Europe, FA Cup, League Cup, European football. The chances of him getting a breakthrough in possibly one of the 2 domestic cups are quite high. So I'm hoping we see more of Connor Coventry next year, and I can make a more of a more of an educated comment on him. But right now, I'd stick him in the season or 2 and see where it takes us.
Yeah, I think I'd be inclined to agree with you. I think for me, next season he needs to be given more game time, and then
even if
he can be assessed.
He needs to be he needs to be given more of an opportunity.
Or even if it's just sort of like the odd 10 minutes here and there in games where the result is decided. Either we've already won the game and it's wrapped up, or we know we're not going to get anything out of it and it's the last 10 minutes. What's the harm in chucking him on, getting him that little bit of game experience of playing men's proper Premier League football? Because I think there comes a point when there's only so much more he can learn by playing the under 23 league and this, that, and the other. He most of his learning will come by playing Premier League football. It's real simple.
Can I just show you something quickly?
Of course you can, as long as it's not anything rude.
No. I sent my daughter a task earlier.
Did you?
She's doing art. She's going to college to do art. So I set her a task of drawing me that. That's from the animated series of the Batman from the 90s, I believe it is. If I'm wrong, it's a version of. So I set her that, and she's just come back to me.
Wow! That is impressive.
There's some subtle differences there, but that's
her interpretation of it.
That's her interpretation of it, and that's bloody impressive. So the chances of that at some point finding itself into a frame, going here somewhere, I think that's going to take pride of place. I think that's absolutely fantastic. I think she's
Why
done
not?
a really bloody
Absolutely.
good job for that. Anyway, back to West Ham.
Aaron Cresswell.
I don't want to do the boy a disservice, so I'm going to put him in season or two.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think anyone, as I said earlier, I think anyone that's 30 and above is probably going to be in that sort of like bracket.
It's not even that. You know what? He could be 34, and I wouldn't want to do him a disservice. So unless it's on his terms to call it a day, I'd give him another season.
Well, he's only what? Is he 31? I believe Cresswell.
Possibly. I will have a look.
He is 31. He's date of birth 15th of December 1989.
Yes, he is. He's 32 this year. So, listen. I've got a lot of time for Cressy.
Yes.
I kind of hold him in that kind of regard as the kind of elder statesman of this team that we have here, alongside Noble. You know, he's I think by looking at it, other than the keepers and Bonner, he is the oldest outfield player. He's actually older than he's the same age as Yarmer, so he's actually, bar Noble, the oldest outfield player that we have, because he's even older than Dawson. There you go.
I'd stick him. I haven't got a Bonner here either. I've just twigged that.
Well,
this is why we're doing this. This is why we're doing this, so that we can iron out any flaws.
Write it down. I'm writing it down.
Dear, oh dear. Craig Dawson.
Can I sign him up on a long-term future, even though he's on loan? Can we stick him in that top one for the next 5 years?
If we work on the assumption that we get him done for £3 million,
what do you class as long-term future? Time-wise, more than the 2 years that you've got there.
I would say it has to be more than 2 seasons. I think you'd have to be looking at 3 seasons plus for it to be long-term future. Because if it's not, then that's where they go into the season or 2 category for me.
Okay, so Dawson has a long-term future for me then. If we're looking at it like that, I saw. I think it was on my Hammers 11 on Russ's Thursday chat, depending on obviously when people are going to be watching this. Obviously went out today. He's an old school, no nonsense centre back. He does exactly what it says he's Ronseal. We'll try and get them on. Ronseal, great stuff.
King of Shades, Ronseal.
You know, he's come in, and let's be honest, none of us were expecting him to be what he's been. You know, I think at one point, I know he started against Stockport in the Cup. And he performed admirably, but it was there's no disrespect to Stockport, but it was Stockport. He got the goal, whatever. Then he came in and he played the league game. And we all kind of went, no, wait, not carried away. And then he came in again. And I was ready to unretire the number 6 shirt, give him the number 6 shirt, give him the captaincy, give him what he wanted to keep him, because for me, he's been outstanding. He's been more than any of us expected, and therefore he's been outstanding, because we all thought he was going to be shit. Let's not mess around. You know, we thought we were getting another, relegation Roger. I'm sure that bloke's still running backwards, by the way. That's what we were expecting to get. We were at that, it was another one of those, and he hasn't been. He's exceeded everyone's expectations by a marathon. He's not just exceeded them by a mile. This guy's gone above and beyond. He's been outstanding, amazing player. So for me, if we get him for £3 million, I'd get him signed up to a 4-year deal comfortably, 3 or 4 year deal, because he's still got so much to offer. Be that in the first team or to the youngsters that are going to be coming through, I'd get him signed up.
Okay.
So
I would disagree. I would put him in the category again below simply because of his age. Nothing more, nothing less. I guess I look at it a little bit like Arsene Wenger did back in the day at Arsenal. Forgive me. But
I'll
do
tell you
agree
what,
with him.
in 10 more players, I'm really going to throw a spanner in your works, I tell you.
Ooh. But no, I get what you're saying, but I would probably say a season or two, because by then he'll be 32, verging on 33, and it's like, well, are you going to get too much more out of him? Who knows? Some players can maintain a good level of performance into their 30s, going 32, 33, 34, 35. And other players hit about 32, and it's like they fall off the edge of a cliff. So
Yeah.
I'm always a little bit with sort of like anyone the wrong side of 30. And I'm probably coming across as really ageist and all that, but I am 45.
But you're not asking me when he's on the other side of 30. You're asking me now, and where I stand right now, I consider him to be a long-term part of the team.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Listen, it's all a game of opinions, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
This is a player that could divide a lot of opinions amongst the people that will.
He goes in the second tier.
Issa Diop.
Yeah, he goes in the second tier. I think since Bonner's injury, he's come back and he's been very, very good for us. He got the COVID. He fell out of the team. I think he dropped out. He dropped out? Balbowena stepped in. Balbowena fell out, and Dawson stepped in.
Correct.
And no one's ever looked back since.
Well, then obviously Ogbonna got the injury, and that's what got
Diop stepped in. And let's be honest, Diop has formed an incredibly good partnership with Dawson in there in the few games that they've played together. You'd expect
Here's a question to put to you. Here's a question to put to you, though, Duke. If for the game on Monday, is it Monday we play, isn't it, against Leeds?
Yeah.
Okay. Hypothetically, if David Moyes has Ogbonna available, ready, fit to play, does he come in, or does Diop keep his place?
No, he comes in.
And that's kind of the problem for me with Issa Diop. I mean, this is his third season with us, and he's still not managed to really cement himself as a first-team pick.
No, he has, but he's 24.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is
he's not your first name on the team sheet.
He's out, he's in, he's out, he's in, he's out. And he's been that way the whole time pretty much, hasn't he?
Honestly, right now, he deserves to be in. But who do you like? But then so does Ogbonna, and certainly so does Dawson. And in the style of play that we're currently playing, the elder statesmen for me currently have it. That's not to say that at 33 next season, Ogbonna could drop down one, and then Diop takes that place as being the first name on the team sheet. He's certainly in the running for a starting lineup for me after just these last three games. He's certainly in the running for a starting berth every week now. I think he's a solid. He's growing in confidence a bit more this season. I think the fitness after long COVID certainly did affect him, and I think he's got all the attributes. His attitude's right. He's certainly not let the fact that he was kind of forced out of the team affect his desire to want to play. It affected his confidence slightly, and I think when he was asked to come back into the team, possibly before Christmas, he did look a little bit ropey. He looked very tired. I think there was one game where he did look a bit a shadow of his self from last year, which is why people were like, "Oh, should have sold him for 60 million when Mourinho was looking." Shut up. This is why you're not in charge of the club. But for me, he's in a season or two. But again, a very good season next year. Sees him move up more.
Fair enough. Lucas Fabianski. Now, he's out of contract. My understanding, his situation is he's out of contract right now in the summer. However, I believe we have the option to activate at least an extra year. So would you?
His contract's already up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But
it's up now.
haven't. It's up in the summer. It's up in the summer. But what I'm saying is the club, I believe, have an option to activate an extra year. So if you were David Moyes, first question is, would you activate that year or would you wave him a cheery bye?
Goes in the bottom.
Really?
Yeah.
See ya. The first one in the bin.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
There'll be a couple that will go in the bin. Listen, he's a fantastic goalkeeper. I'm not saying he's not. But a couple of times this season, you've seen flashes of what was called Fabianski. And if we are going to be a team that from the end of this season that qualifies for Europe this year and looks to make the next 2 or 3 steps over the next 2 or 3 seasons, i.e., European Conference this year to Europa League next year to Champions League the year after, winning FA Cups, winning League Cups. Flappy hands is not a goalkeeper that's going to take us to the next level. We had this discussion the other day, Rob. 40 million for Dean Henderson isn't going to work for me. But are United going to ask for 40 million pound for Dean Henderson? Damn right they are. He's a young English goalkeeper. He's trained in England from a young age, so he's then considered part of your quota of English trained players in Europe. So if someone's going to get him off of United, they're going to have to pay a premium because he is a young English player that's trained in this country for X amount of years. In the same way that Fornals, if he was to go back to Spain, to play in Spain, to play for any of their Champions League clubs, we hold the key there for his cost and his price because he was trained in Spain from a young age up to a certain age. So he's classed as a premium product in Spain for a Champions League club because he fits that criteria of homegrown players. So Man United are going to ask for a big number for Henderson, and rightly so. He's a great goalkeeper. I'd like to look at a goalkeeper, 26, 27. Again, Areola was a name that I mentioned the other day. I know we're looking at Ramsdale. Please don't upset me anymore.
You're not a fan.
The kid's been relegated twice. Not yet, but you get the idea.
Yeah,
who's the lad at West Brom?
Sam Johnston.
Johnston. All day long. I think he's again, it's a good goalkeeper. But for me, I wouldn't bother with renewing unless you're going to keep him to blood the next group. He wouldn't be my first choice next year. So if we're talking about bringing new players, etc., no, I wouldn't renew his contract and he'd be on my senior.
I would disagree. I would put him in a season or 2 simply because I think I would keep him in, but say to him, listen, we're going to give you another year's contract, but we can't guarantee that you're going to be the number 1. We're going to bring in another goalkeeper. He will be your long-term successor, but for the first season, there may be a little bit of jockeying for position, shall we say. But I can completely get why you've put him where he is. With in all fairness, so it's one of those. It's you could make an argument. I don't think you're ever going to put him in the long term future at 35, 36 years of age. But I think you could make a case for putting him in any of the other 3 categories.
I might burn some bridges in a minute as well. Can you just bring up the squad page again? I just want to check something.
The squad page.
Yeah, the one where all the players are on the other screen. That's not me.
Hang on a moment. That one.
Scroll down on the screen now because I can see David Martin on there. Who's the other goalkeeper have you got? You've got Trott,
Darren Randolph and Nathan Trott.
Right, take Martin and Randolph and just put them in the bottom already. We won't even bother coming to them. Just put them straight in.
Boom. Boom. Okay. Do you want to explain your reasoning?
Yeah, okay. Fabianski's 35, Randall's 33 and not good enough, and David Martin's 35. Job done. I've got no more to say on that.
No, that's fine. I would definitely agree with you.
You are not going to compete in Europe with 3 goalkeepers that are all 34 and above. You're not going to do it. I don't care who you are. I know Gianluigi Buffon, fantastic goalkeeper, played on until he was about 97. But he had youngsters that were still kicking him up the arse in training every day, and he was passing on knowledge. Fabianski's not passing on knowledge down to David Martin when they're the same age. Yeah. It doesn't work that way. I don't care who you are. But for me, that's the reason they are. As we were saying earlier about the ages of these players, for me, they don't offer anything, long term or otherwise.
No, I agree.
On that note, I'm going to jump ahead. So go back to the screen.
Okay.
Scroll right. Top line, far right on my screen.
Mark Noble.
Drag him straight to the top.
Mark Noble, long-term future.
Straight to the top. And
Okay.
I'll tell you why. The guy
I know where you're going with this.
Everything to offer in a coaching role.
Okay.
Regardless of playing or not, that man has so much to offer with regards to his experiences at the club, so much to offer when it comes to the youngsters in the academy. And by that, I don't mean Trott, Connor Coventry. I mean the likes of Lenny Noble. I mean the kids. I'm talking about the ones that are, 7 up to the ages of 13. This guy, he's got a future West Ham manager written all over.
I hear you saying that this is purely as playing staff. This is not as other roles at the club.
He will contribute to our playing staff going forward. So I will keep him as long-term future. Okay. I don't care.
Okay.
Fair enough.
I would put him in a season or two. I don't want Mark Noble to retire this season and not be able to say goodbye to the fans, and the fans not be able to say goodbye to him. I think he's got enough petrol left in the tank for him
for a League Cup season next season.
Yeah, I think he's got enough left in the tank. He could be used 20 minutes here, 10 minutes there. He could get in another 20 odd appearances.
To go to in June. He's got an entire football tournament to play in June. If Southgate has a frame 1 on him.
Well, don't know that.
Listen, we can hope. He's deserved it at other points in his career.
2016, no doubt. I mean, how Roy never took him is completely beyond me.
It's a joke, isn't it?
There you go.
No, for me, I mean, I get where you're coming from, and I mean, you can bring him down to a season or two, but my point is, of the older statesmen, him and the 3 goalkeepers at the bottom, I see him offering more to the club going forward.
In a different capacity as a player, he's not a long-term future, and that's what this is about. This is as a player.
Bring him down one, but for me, as an I don't even want to use the word ambassador
for the club.
No, because that implies pissing him off to different countries to develop us as a brand, and I don't even want to go down that road.
I don't think he'd do that. No. But so moving on from Mark Noble, Pablo Fornals.
Season or 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because although, I want to see more of him, of what I saw in the Euros and the reason the under 21 Euros and the reason we bought him. We didn't buy him to be Aaron Cresswell's babysitter, for want of a better word right now, because that, to a degree, is how he's been deployed for a number of games this season. He's been, his bodyguard, or however you want to put it. He's kind of been put there to support Cresswell. And as much as I understand it, I would like to see more of the flair, the defense splitting passes, the dribbling skills of a man that showed exactly that for the Spanish under-21 side in those Euros. I've not seen, especially this season, I've not seen a huge great deal of that. And granted, we're still currently fifth, possibly sixth. I don't know. But I want to see more of that going forward. You know, as we hopefully and touch wood, fingers crossed. We look at, and I will get round to doing the video of the players I'd like to see come in for next season. 14 of them, by the way, 230 million quid worth of players. Not happening, but you get the idea. It might allow us to unleash Fornals slightly differently going forward. We won't need to use him as a defensive general anymore. We can use him as more of a forward attacking kind of penetrator, one of them kind of players.
The fornicating penetrator, or the penetrating fornicator.
Yeah.
But here's the only thing is though, Duke, playing devil's advocate a little bit. I know what you're saying about being Cresswell's babysitter, but in fairness, that's the job he's been detailed by David Moyes, and he's doing it.
And listen, I'm not going to knock him for that, and I'm certainly not going to vilify him for that. But if we go out in the summer and, for instance, we can sign one or two more defensive-minded midfielders, hopefully, without giving away too much, I like the idea of John Joe Shelvey. I like the idea of Isaac Hayden, both of them at Newcastle, if they get relegated. I like the idea of both of those guys coming in. Now, question is, would both of those guys want to come in and play, not necessarily second fiddle, but kind of second fiddle to Souček and Rice? Is a different question. But if they do, and we have to play three kind of defensive midfielders, whereas we've been employing or deploying Fornals in that third role with Rice and Souček, if we have more of a designated player for that role, it then frees up Fornals to go play that role further forward, because we've got someone that is specifically bought to do that job, if you understand my meaning.
Yep, no, fair enough. No problem. Okay, so next on the list, Ryan Fredericks.
See, I'll cross that name off of my list that I'd written down for you to add these names to your list, because I didn't see him earlier. Season or two for me. Again, he's. I think Gio and Gonzo touched on it in their earlier videos. He was fantastic at the start of the season.
Yes,
and then he picked up the injury and kind of. We went out and got Sufal, and he kind of, that was it. Sufal never looked back, and Fredericks was sitting there going, oh, what did I do bloody wrong? He came in and he's filled in, he certainly played a role that was, I wouldn't say overly natural to him, but it's not, it wouldn't have been his first choice for me, and that was more of a defensive attacking right winger, if you know what I mean, against Villa, when he was coming to detail to do a job against Grealish, and he did that and looked bloody good, to the point that he had us all then thinking, all of us, all the fans, rethinking our formations and strategies against certain teams. We did it ourselves when we played Man United in the Cup. Do we play Fredericks and Sufal again to combat the Rashford attack down that side? Do we deploy Fredericks and Sufal against Liverpool, or again Spurs to combat Son? And he's had us thinking. So he's not going to be a first choice right back all the time. We have Sufal in there for me. Sufal will be the first name out of the two. But if we have to deploy a three across the back, Sufal's not a wing back. So Sufal for me would lose his position there. That's going to cause some upset when we do our.
Do you know? I think that Sufal could actually play centre back because he did it against Manchester United.
I tell you, I was about to say when we do our Leeds preview, right?
Oh.
I was about to say when we do our Leeds preview, I was going to throw up a surprise. You bloody ruined it now, you.
Oh, I haven't. Have I? So I'll edit this bit out. It's fine.
No, I was going to say for me, I think I said it in the Man City review thing that I'd still stick with three at the back. Yet what I'd do is I'd shuffle everyone over one. I'd still leave Cresswell out as a left wing back for me because of his deliveries and his attacking side of things. I'd bring Sufal into centre back and I'd drop Fredericks in. So your back three would be either Ogbonna or Diop, Dawson, Sufal, and then your wider players would be Cressy for his delivery because he has the most assists from that position, and then Fredericks on the other side just because it would offer better delivery and a bit more pace down the wing.
Well, he doesn't have the best stats as far as left wing back's concerned because don't forget he's been mainly deployed either as a left back or as a left centre back. Cresswell hasn't played as a left wing back to the best of my knowledge.
No, but what I mean is from his. I think I'll have to do a bit of research into this because I love putting my foot in my mouth. But I think from his percentage of crosses and deliveries that are either key or have resulted in a goal.
Yeah.
From his position as a defender.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He's certainly up there alongside.
I think you'll find he's the best in the Premier League. I think you'll find.
Yeah, I think he's. So yeah, for me, that you don't want to take that out of your team.
Yeah. The only thing is, has he got the legs? That's the thing, because that was the criticism that was levelled against him last season and the season.
You wouldn't have to if you're going to be playing. Without no disrespect, you're playing Leeds, and if you're playing three across the back with your Sufal, Diop, Ogbonna, Dawson, whatever trio you want to put in there, and then you've got Souček and Rice. You're kind of playing a five like a block there. These two can go do what they want because these two in Souček and Rice can spill out to fill that gap of a five into a smile, if you will. So anyway, back to this. That's my Monday review preview. It's not
Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson.
He sits on the line between long-term future and season or two. And the reason he sits on the line is because he has the adaptability to be able to play left back or right back.
Yeah.
And I think that gives him
wing back, I would suggest.
Yeah, stick him long-term future for me, just because his adaptability of left back and right back gives him something that we haven't had for quite some time, is that versatility to both sides. Those positions, like you say, left back, right back, and both of those positions as a wing back. It gives him something more. I think he's got a good future. I think he's got a good drive, a good desire to be better than he is, and wants to learn. And you could see when he played against City, a little bit naivety on his part, getting so close to Mahrez. He tried to give him a power clothesline and send him flying, which gave him the booking, which meant he had to sit off a little bit, which caused a couple of problems with the goals that we scored. And I don't want to vilify him, but no, I think he has a great future, and hopefully at our club, hopefully he doesn't have delusions of grandeur like another left or right back that had at the end of last season. Decided to leave us, and then I think there's only played maybe 4 or 5 games to start so far this season.
Yeah,
Watford,
going
good
well in the Championship for him. But see, for me, I think I put him in the season or 2 category because I really think that next season's make or break. I think if he doesn't really sort of establish himself as a first team player next season, then I think his race is done.
I think that's a bit harsh, and the only reason I think that's a bit harsh is when you have 4 very talented and very capable players in front of him to a degree. He's going to struggle to get a look in, especially next season when you've got Cresswell, who still has a season or two in him, whether he plays at centre back or as a back three as a centre back, or he plays as a left back. You've got I think you've got Masuwaku in there, who I'll come to in a bit. You've got Fredericks and you've got Sufal. It's going to be very difficult for him to try and cement one of those two full-back roles down as his own, Johnson. So long term, I think you'll see more of him in maybe 2 years' time than you will next year. But that's why I put him in that top bracket.
Fair enough, Ski. Right, the next one on the hit list, Manuel Lanzini.
He's going to be the first one to go into my unsure pile because right now, I feel really bad for him because I love the kid. I think he's a cracking player, but I just don't see where he can again cement down. Although he is one of a core set of, I think, 4 players that I had when I did my squad list the other day for next season. He was one. There was him, Fornals, Benrahma and Bowen. That's kind of the ones that I'd use deployed as slightly wider attacking players. But if we sign Lingard, then it becomes is it quintet? Isn't it 5 quin? Quartet's 4, yeah. Quintet is 5. So it becomes a quintet, and for me, he becomes the weaker of the 5. He hasn't come back fantastically since the injury. He's not been the same kind of player. Is he weaker than Pablo Fornals? Fornals tends to do a lot more of the dirty work, the defensive side of things. So for me, that just, although he's still got, I still want to see the attacking side of Fornals. Attacking, do I think he's better than Lanzini? Yes. Defensively, is he better than Lanzini? Yes. Are you going to drop Lingard if we sign him for Lanzini? Probably not. You're going to drop Benrahma? Probably not. Are you going to drop Bowen for Lanzini? Probably not. So for me, out of the quintet, if we do sign Lingard, he's the weaker one. So I'm really unsure as of, when the full-time whistle blows on this season, just if he does still have a place to walk into the squad.
Yeah. And saying of Jesse Lingard, he is the next one on the list. So assuming we get the 20 million deal done, or however much it is that Man United want.
If that's the case, so Man U apparently came out yesterday or today, I think I read it. Man U have set their price as 20 million quid for Lingard.
Yep.
Why are we not, and here's the key, why have we not opened talks already? Why are we going to wait till the end of the season? Why are we going to wait till the end of the season when we already know that Everton are looking? We know that Leicester are looking because they're seeing Lingard as a possible replacement for Vardy because obviously Vardy is now what, 90, 96, 97? He didn't come out of non-league until he was 92. So these teams are eyeing him up because he's had such a good, 4 or 5 games for us. Why are we dicking around waiting? This should have been something that was done literally after the Spurs game. Whoever, Dobie Brady or Paul Pescosolido or Yves Vorley or whoever it is that we're getting to contact these. Anyone, picking up the phone, speaking to United and going, look, okay, how much is it going to cost to bring him in? 20 million. Okay, we will pay you 20 million. We will pay you over 4 payments of 5 million quid every 6 months, over 2 years. Are you happy with that? No, we want 20 million. All right, we'll give you 20 million at the end of the season, but we want him. Can we open contract talks now? Sit down with Jesse and get this sorted. Let's not give the opportunity like I think it happened with Iniacho. It happened with Kelechi Iniacho. West Ham were interested in him. We'd made some inquiries that we were interested in him, but didn't really push it any further. And then Leicester came in and we'll take him. Now, don't get me wrong, that hasn't backfired for us at all. I don't think he's set the world on fire at Leicester, but it's still, my point is it could have done. And it could backfire massively if we lose out on Lingard. So for me, I don't understand. They've set their price. We know what they want. Why are we going to wait? You know, there's apparently there's nothing in the works right now. I will wait till the end of the season. Yes, and then he's going to go to Leicester or Everton.
You say that, but the fact that he's sort of like, it seems to have really sort of like bought into the camaraderie and the team ethic and all the rest of it. I mean,
Instagram story of him and his daughter.
Say again.
Did you see the Instagram story or the picture?
No.
They're at home. They're at home. This was after. I think
was this? She was in a West Ham shirt.
They both were. He was in the black sense or the 125-year M&B. Yeah. Great stuff. We'll have more of them shirts, please. Another plug. M&M, wasn't it? Not M&B. M&M.
Not the chocolate manufacturers, just in case anyone's getting confused.
He had the black shirt on. She had the home shirt on, and she was on his shoulders, and he had the fact that he's wearing the shirt at home says a lot more about what's going on. For me, anyway, you know, a bit like Declan Rice.
I think he'll stay. I really do.
But I just think we need to get the jump on any of our rivals right now and get this done now. So he's a West Ham signing from like tomorrow. You know, although he's a loan until the end of the season, he's ours at the end of that loan deal. Bollocks. No one else can touch him.
So I'm guessing you're not going to put him here.
No, he's all the way at that top, mate. There's more in the top than I thought there was going to be at the start of this. I'm not going to lie to you.
Arthur Masuwaku.
Right.
Now this is a difficult one, isn't it? Because see, I'll tell you my opinion on Arthur Masuwaku. I think Arthur Masuwaku is very valuable to West Ham if we play 3 at the back. If we play 4 at the back, I don't see that Arthur Masuwaku really fits in. And therein lies the problem.
Do you reckon Moyes has got another trick up his sleeve and is able to just have Masuwaku transfer from a left back into an attacking left midfielder and just put him there and be done with it?
So essentially in the position that Port Fornals is occupying at the moment.
Bit further forward. I wouldn't ask him to defend. Fornals can defend, Masuwaku can't. And I think that's another key difference. What I would do with Masuwaku is I would probably deploy him in the same way that we would deploy Fredericks with Sufal against someone like Grealish, is that he would be a great defensive support to Cresswell, like Frederick was to Sufal when you come up against someone like Grealish. If you're coming up against someone on the opposition's right flank, he would be that would be my kind of, you know, Masuwaku, Cresswell, Fredericks, Sufal. That would be that. Yeah. So again, but we've also got Ben Johnson that can do that role.
Yes, this is the thing. Is his presence going to block the progression of Ben Johnson? That's another thing you got to factor in.
For me, honestly, if someone came in the same way as Lanzini at the end of the season and went, he's 10 to 15 million quid, can we have Masuwaku? I'd wave goodbye. Same as I would probably if someone came in with, you know, £15 million for Lanzini. Would I wave goodbye then? Yeah, more than likely, you know, because we could invest that extra bit of cash into going after someone maybe Tony or Armstrong, even Abdullah Sima or Hlosek. Do I
Sim is the
see?
one that I'm after. I got to say,
Yeah.
he's the one that I look at and think, wow.
Do I see Lanzini getting in ahead of Bowen, Lingard, Fornals, or Benrahma, or do I see us using that 15 million quid to offset a bid for Abdullah Sima, or again, Ivan Tony or Armstrong or even Hlosek? No, I'd rather see Hlosek, Sima, Tony, or Armstrong in a position where we can have them. Rather than Lanzini just sitting there, kind of twiddling his thumbs on the bench, waiting for his chance to come on. So I'd probably, as much as I like Mas going forward, I think he personally sits in that unsure role, because I am unsure. I'd keep him if we had someone come in that bid for him in the summer.
Yeah, I think I'd put him in the unsure bracket as well, because as I said earlier, if we play three at the back, he's an absolutely critical component of that working. I think when he plays at left wing back, it looks absolutely fantastic, and he looks fantastic.
He looks fantastic going forward, but not so much defensively as a back as
no.
a wing. I think that's the key there.
Yeah, but then he's got Cresswell, he's got Declan Rice that are in close proximity to him, so I think he can kind of get away with it. If he's played as a left back, no,
he's not.
And I'm not too sure. Is he a left winger? Don't know. So I would put him in the unsure.
It wasn't a striker until Moyes got his hands on him the first time round. So Moyes, I don't know how Moyes does it. Honestly, I don't know. Moyes turned Fellaini. Moyes turned Fellaini into a footballer. That's all I'm going to say there.
That's harsh. True, but harsh. I've got a funny feeling I know where these next two individuals are going to go, but you could surprise me. Declan Rice. Yeah.
Listen, I like every.
You're going to sell him, aren't you?
Right, I tell you what. You say that. Oh God. Right, he goes into long.
Don't do it.
Listen, no, he goes into long-term future. No matter what, he goes into long-term future. But I am.
Oh no, there's a but.
No, and I'll tell you why. Okay, I'm a big boss. So put you and me on the screen, because I want to be able to see your face on this one, right?
Okay.
So I'm a big baseball fan, and you know this.
I do.
I mean, this thing here to start with, signed, by the way. Back in 2004, the Boston Red Sox, they gave up their best player in 2004. Ooh. A young lad by the name of Nomar Garcia-Parra. He was a Boston native. He was born and raised in Boston. Always wanted to play for the Red Sox. As he came through their farm system, their reserves, however you put it. But the Red Sox hadn't won the World Series for 86 years, and they needed extra players. It's not that they needed to sell Garcia-Parra or to trade him, but they needed extra players to fill in the parts. But so by selling him, they made the team stronger, and they went on to win the World Series in 2004. They sold him halfway through the season, bought in, I think it was 4 or 5 players for him going. They managed to bring in 4 or 5 players, which then made the team as a whole stronger by losing that one player. And they went on to win it. Now, do I believe by selling Declan Rice we could make a squad stronger? Probably not, because the arseholes wouldn't put the money back into the squad. Do I think if we had the right owners and we were to sell him, put the money back into the squad to strengthen other positions, would it make the squad stronger? Done the right way, yes, I do. I don't want to see him leave, but as a means to an end to make other positions and the squad as a whole stronger, would it be beneficial? They're the questions they're the ones that play with my mind a little bit, because I've seen it work with the baseball. I've been following baseball since '96.
Yeah.
And when I say following baseball, I mean consistently watching the games on TV. I subscribe to MLB TV like everyone else subscribes to Sky Sports. They watch their football. I watch my baseball. I was watching spring training games in hospital yesterday and the day before. I watched one today because I'm interested as to they're like our pre-season games. So. It's not like a flash in the pan with a baseball that I don't really know what I'm talking about. I watched that develop. I actually watched that whole season develop after they sold him. Do I think that by selling Declan Rice, let's say for £100 million, okay, and bringing in 4 players at 25 million quid each, would that strengthen certain positions of the squad? Well, yeah, it would, because you'd go out and you'd probably buy Ivan Toney and I keep banging on about him, but he's one of my main targets as a striker. You'd go out and you'd buy him for 25 million quid. Could you replace Declan Rice at CDM for 25 million quid? You could if you go to Czech Republic and find another Thomas Suchek. I'm telling you that now. And you could probably develop the squad around that. I don't want to see him go, and he's got a long-term future at West Ham. He's the club captain now. For me, no disrespect to Noble, but Declan Rice is now our captain. I'd go as far to offer him the number 6 shirt if it meant he'd stay, because that's how high a regard that we all of us West Ham fans hold him. We'd bring it out of retirement for you, Dec, if you wanted it.
Yeah. I absolutely subscribe to that. I've said that for a good while now. Yeah. I've said that the club should talk to the Moore family, and if the Moore family agree to it, and that's the important thing. I don't think the club should just do it without getting the say so of the Moore family. I think that for me, that would show them respect at least.
I get where you're coming from there, but number 6 isn't exclusively Bobby Moore's number. Now,
no, but if you think of
main to Julian Dix's shirt, although we associate the number 3 with Julian Dix, we associate the number 6 with Bobby Moore, 16 with Nopes. They're not predominantly theirs. Like in baseball, again, I go back to that. They retire the numbers for certain players near enough in every club. Number 40, I want to say 41 was Jackie Robinson's number, and that was retired. But that's not just retired at his ball club at I want to say Cubs. I might be wrong. Dodgers. It's not just it's retired across the entire of baseball. Okay, so if the number 6 was retired across all of football as a mark of respect for Bobby Moore because he wore that for England as well, I could fully understand that. I fully understand the idea of the respect and it being a retired number across the board, because that's the shirt he wore for England when we won the World Cup, etc., etc., etc. It's a great cut, by the way. Doesn't make me look like a child.
My daughter got me this. My daughter got me this.
You know what we were talking about the other day, for God's sake.
Yeah.
But it's a big old. Look how dirty it is. Look, as I don't. Terrible. I let my tea sit in there and it stains the sides. Yeah, so I get where you're coming from with regards to talking to the family and getting that, but it's not a number that's retired. It's just one that we don't use anymore out of respect. I get that. If it was a number that was retired across the board, I'd understand, that kind of not wanting to unretire it.
Fair enough.
For me, I get where you're coming from with the respect thing and go and talk to the family, but it's not. It's only a number that's held in high regard by us.
Oh, I don't know. I think sort of like you.
Anyone else retired a number because of Bobby Moore at their club?
No. But I'm talking if people that know their football, you turn around and say West Ham number 6, England's World Cup winning captain, they'll know who you're talking about.
Yeah, but in that sense, in England as a nation, shouldn't have anyone wear the number 6 shirt when we go to major tournaments. If that's the case,
you say that, but then the FIFA regulations wouldn't permit that because there have to be 1 to 23.
But then it's not such a sacred number.
It's different at World Cups and Europeans, though, isn't it? From Premier League, because Premier League you can have any number from 0 to 99 in theory.
Bobby Moore never played in the Premier League.
Fair point.
You see? Oh, listen. I'm going to take so much flack. I know I am. It's going to come. I can see it. This ain't going on Facebook or anywhere. I'll tell you.
Here's a question for you. Here's a question. So, Jesse Lingard, 20 million quid, Manchester United want. In the summer,
Yes.
Manchester United turn around and say, because you've heard the story about
Jesse
Lingard, Matic, and Jones for Declan Rice. Yeah.
Honest to God. Matic ain't even worthy of licking the mud off of Declan Rice's boots. And Phil Jones ain't even allowed to walk into the same room as Declan Rice.
Not those two, though. Let's just suppose. Now, here's something, and I would
be very careful where you're going with this. Go on.
Jesse Lingard, valued at 20. Scott McTominay, valued at 30.
No. Your balls did right up there.
Plus 50 million. Plus 50 million.
No.
Okay.
No. If you want, I'll tell you what, you can have Declan Rice and you don't have to give us any money as long as you give me the following 3 players.
Go on.
Jesse Lingard.
Yep.
Dean Henderson.
Okay.
And Mason Greenwood.
Ooh. You drive a hard bargain.
No money, those 3 players.
How about Rashford?
Yeah, I'd put Rashford. No, yeah, Rashford.
I'd take him all day long.
But listen, I don't. For me, the reason I didn't include him, I don't think that's feasible. I honestly don't think. I don't think Greenwood would be feasible. But it's more of an option if they really want Declan Rice. For me, that's where I'd be. Where do you rate? Pardon me. Where do you rate Henderson as a goalkeeper? 30 million quid? 40 million?
They reckon maybe? They want 40, didn't they?
All right, so there's 40 million quid. How much do you rate Jesse Lingard at? You just told me that.
He's 20, so that's 60 million straight away.
There you go. We're at £100 million, north of £100 million. They were the words that came out of the boys' mouth. 40 million quid for Greenwood? I personally, that ain't out of the realms of possibility. That might even be a little bit too much for a kid of his age in some people's eyes. Possibly. But what are you looking at Rashford? 60, 70 million quid more than likely if they were to sell him?
Oh, God. Well, how old is he? 22?
Yeah. And again, he's a young English talent trained in this country from a young age that will work towards your quota, which is why Man City got Scott Carson, if I remember rightly.
Forwards tend to be more expensive, don't they? They tend to go at more of a premium than defensive players by and large. Yep. I wouldn't be surprised if Rashford went on the market in the summer, and let's suppose he did it after having a good European Championships.
75, 80 million.
Easily 80 million. Easily.
And that's my point. Rashford is worth that money. For me, he is. I think he's an amazing talent. Not only that, it's just everything else about the kid. I think he's an amazing person. Everything he's done during this lockdown
isn't he?
It's fantastic. So not only are you getting an absolutely outstanding talent, you're going to be getting, someone. You're going to be getting good press off the pitch, aren't you? Let's be honest. He's,
I'm still going to boo him next time he plays against us lot, though. I'm still going to boo him. That's the way it works. I respect him tremendously.
Who was it with Foden out in Scandinavia? Was that Rashford? When they went and played for England and had the couple of the
Greenwood. No, that was
Greenwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't want him now then, because that's bad press. I can't be digging with that. But you see where I'm going. If
Yeah.
United, like you brought up the proposed trade of Matic and Jones and whatever, and then you swing it our way. No, listen, if we're going to be giving up what is considered our best asset, I want three. I want three players back that are going to contribute to our squad as much as Deck would.
Yeah.
Is
The only
Declan
reason
Rice
I said
work?
the only reason I said
No, the good one.
McTominay is
I
because
think
he's a
he's
similar.
shit.
Well, no, he's a similar type of player, isn't he? Stylistically.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's as good as Declan Rice. I don't believe in one that he is.
I keep seeing the. I hate Twitter for it. I absolutely hate Twitter, and I hate how obsessed Newcastle United, Newcastle, Man United, and Leeds United fans are with the comparisons between is it Calvin Phillips
At Leeds,
McTominay, and one of the it's either Matty or Sean, one of the two useless twats. Just they love a comparison, and we're sitting there, we're sitting there on our ship of Declan Rice gold, and they're kind of, they're bronze covered in gold paint. As far as I'm concerned, they are nowhere near even being considered to be the same class anywhere near Declan Rice, as far as I'm concerned. And the fact that they are so obsessed with Dec. As how much better their players are than Declan Rice shows me how fucking delusional they are. Anyway, last three. Thomas Souček, put him in the top.
Actually, there is one other player that I twigged. We've missed out, but he's that anonymous that I don't think anyone will give a monkeys. To be fair, Thomas Souček.
Souček top. I see him. The fact that United have sniffed around and in the last few weeks have sniffed around him and Declan Rice. And they've actually stated that Souček would be a perfect £30 million replacement for Paul Pogba if Pogba was to go back to Italy this year. My personal message to Ole and the powers that be at Man United would be get. If you think you're going to pick up Thomas Souček, Big Sue, for £30 million. It's more along the lines of what he is worth to us as a player, not as a value. Because if we were to sell him, the points that we would lose based around that, position that we would finish lower in the league with the cost of that we would lose money-wise, places in the league. And it's not just that; it's everything else he does. How much he would cost us to replace him, the positions and everything else. That, for me, makes him worth in a region of 50, 60 million quid comfortably. If Declan Rice is going to be worth 100 million quid, Souček's worth 60, 65 million, in my opinion. Might be slightly biased because I'm a West Ham fan, but in my opinion, Fellaini never went for that money, so that can piss off. Keep comparing them two, because it drives me mad. But no, Souček, long-term future for us if we can if we can keep certain players, certain clubs' grubby hands off of them.
No worries. Okay, next one, Nathan Trott.
Season or two.
Okay.
And I only put him there because we haven't got no more goalkeepers.
You've binned them all. Look what you've done.
They're gone. Who's that last one? Is that who I think it is?
Probably.
Yama. I can't see him properly. Yeah, he can go.
I know. Where are you going to put him?
Yama in the bottom one.
He's going to go in the bin.
No, for me, Trott. Listen, we haven't seen enough. Again, my confession earlier with Connor. I haven't seen enough of the younger developmental squads and the under 23, so I can't really make an educated comment on it. So I'm not going to go and embarrass myself from what I know of the kid and from what I've seen before and from what I've read this season. He's still got some way to go, but he is the better of the younger goalkeepers that we do have at the club. So again, I'd like to see him get his chance next season. Obviously, by bidding off the other three elder statesmen, and if we do bring in a goalkeeper as I've mentioned before, Areola at Fulham, if we can get him in from PSG, dependent on what happens there. If Fulham do or do not go down, it obviously makes a big difference. And obviously Henderson at United. If that's the case, then, I'd like to see us also develop the talent that we already have at the club. Him and Nang, and there is a third, but I cannot for the life of me remember his name.
That's fine. Well, the last player one of the other players that I've forgotten, I will correct this before we sort of if when we look this back, we think this looks well and we're going to extend it out.
Mate, I like it. It's interesting.
Yeah. He's a Brazilian fella with long hair and he likes stepovers. He buggered off to Portugal and he doesn't really seem to have ripped up many trees there.
Afro Circus.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Listen, if someone's stupid enough to come in the summer and offer us 20 million for Anderson,
oh my God, that'd be a good result.
I drive him there myself, and I don't even drive. Listen, I'd get me on the back of a push bike. I'll take him wherever he wants to go. On the flip side to that, controversial. Give him half a chance to try and integrate him back in and give him a chance to prove that he can adapt to a David Moyes style of football. Especially the fact that if we do decide that Lanzini, getting £15 million for Lanzini possibly, or taking 10 for Anderson and trying to get something more out of Anderson next season, my go-to would be to let Lanzini go and try and get another tune out of Anderson, because when he was good, he looked shit hot without mincing me words. He's had a couple of games where he's looked on point. He's had a couple of games that I've enjoyed watching him play. So you either lose £30 million on a player, or you try to get another tune out of him. For me, I'd try and get another tune out of him. So I'd be, if I'm honest, Anderson for me would go in the unsure one, just because if we can get rid of Lanzini for 15, then I'd keep Anderson and try and get another tune out of him, because there were certain games when I saw sparks of just some genius, that's me. Other people might think I'm going absolutely off my rocker, and it might be the painkillers on the meds that I'm taking at the minute. But I listen, Anderson. I think Southampton was it a couple of years ago. Absolutely outstanding game. He looked absolutely banging. But then Yarmolenko looked great against Chelsea last season, or earlier this season, whatever game it was.
Even a stopped clock is right twice a day, Duke.
Exactly. I was a good player once.
And then we discovered pies and beer and
and then I realised that George Best managed it. Why couldn't I? No, I mean, listen. I go back to we spent a bit of time now on Declan Rice. It's always about the means to an end for me, and if it means letting that go to strengthen all areas of the team, that's something that needs to be weighed up as a long-term benefit for the club, because if it goes right, it benefits the club for many, many years to come. If it goes wrong, it negatively impacts the club for many, many years to come. So you can either, you get the winning formula and we push on and we go from strength to strength, or we get the wrong players in, which, let's be honest, previously we've had a habit of doing when we've let good players go.
I was just about to say, it reminds me a little bit, it seems a bit reminiscent of when we let Rio go for 18 million quid to Leeds. He was the most saleable asset. And
listen, we've got a nice new stand out of that. Don't diss the sale of Rio.
Yeah, well, that stand's now dust. So that's
Yeah, I know,
story.
that's it. But that's
they spent that 18 million quid on a stand, Rigobert Song, and players whom I can't remember half of them. And it's like
I can give you
you stop and look, and it was like 2-3 years
shirt.
later we was relegated, and that's what
In
worries me.
In fact, I found the shirt. earlier.
Go on.
With a name on the back of it that we had from that Rio stand. And I might have to do a Google. I might be a little bit out, but he also came from Liverpool.
TT Kamara.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had TT Kamara on the back of my West Ham shirt. Probably
Shitty.
the worst one.
Shitty Kamara.
Yes, honestly, I think it was the worst name that I have ever had on the back of a way, apart from my own.
Why?
I think it's the worst name, just because I thought he's coming from Liverpool.
He's got to be good.
He can't be shit, can he? Honestly, he's coming from Liverpool.
Yes, he can.
And it turned out that I think the only name that I could have gotten worse on the back of my shirt at any time in my lifetime would have been Marco Bogas. So, I mean, it's not the greatest.
There's worse than that. Oh, there's worse than that. You could have had Joey Beecham.
No, see, I like Joey, but at least
he never played for us in the first team game.
He had something about him that he could have been. He could have been. Titi Kamara never had anything about him, did he? Really? Or I could have had.
At least he played for us in the league.
I could have had a Scottish goalkeeper.
Well, we had a few. We had Bobby Ferguson, Tom McAllister.
They were good. They were good Scottish goalkeepers. I'm talking about the.
Oh, Scottish goalkeeper. Go on.
Well, I think he was Scottish. We got him from Scotland. I might be wrong.
You're thinking of Alan McKnight, aren't you?
Yeah, he's Irish.
No, he was Northern Irish. We got him from Celtic.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I meant.
Celtic.
Yeah,
he's
Nairn. My God, man couldn't have caught. He wouldn't have even caught a cold.
Mind you, he made Roberto. Roberto made him look good.
Oh, don't even. Honestly,
I mean, I bless him, Alan McKnight. I'm sure Alan McKnight is a lovely fella. So if you're watching this, Alan, if by some strange miracle you're watching this, Alan McKnight, I'm sure you're a lovely fella, and I'm sure you've done lots of work for charity and all the rest of it.
Listen,
I think it's fair to say your time at West Ham wasn't exactly covered with glory.
I'm pretty sure if we asked for a poll,
I think most people of a certain age would probably have said, with the greatest of respect, Alan McKnight was the worst goalkeeper they'd ever seen in Claret. Well, not in Claret and Blue, but green, obviously. But
they would compare Alan McKnight to what we all consider Roberto to be.
I think now Roberto has that mantle locked up, no problem.
I think it's close. I think it's very close. I think we might. I'll tell you what. I'm going to speak to DJ, Rusty B, and you and me might have to do our worst West Ham 11.
Oh, I've already got that. I think I told you when I had my Ham's 11, I actually had 4 different teams listed. One was the one that my best, if you will. Then I had like a cult heroes 11. Then I had a academy 11, and I had my worst. Either they were crap players or players that were players that we love to hate. So say Frank Lampard, you couldn't say he was a crap player, but you could say he was a player that you love to hate. A pantomime.
Well, I'll tell you what, tomorrow on Rusty's video, I'm going to put it to him that we now do a Force from Iron Hammers 11. So you and me go on together, and then you and me sit down over the next couple of days and we'll work out our worst 11 between us.
Would he allow someone to go on twice?
I don't know. But we've not gone on as Force from Iron, have we?
No, I suppose not.
We've gone on as Gatesy with your team. We've gone on as me for mine.
Yeah.
Listen, we'll ask him.
You could only ask him. He'll only tell us to bugger off.
If not, I'll just get Logan to go on and do his We'll get George to go.
We'll sneak him in through the back door. Right, before we wrap this up, Mr. Stribling.
Yeah. Because we've gone on 40 minutes again. I love it.
We're going to do the usual shout out to Isla's Army. Yes. Anyone that's watching this that's actually made it to nearly an hour and 40 into this. Any of you guys that have got a spare couple of quid that can help this young lady out. If you don't know who the story about it, her name is Isla Caton. She's a young lady, a young girl with neuroblastoma. It's a really rare type of cancer. There's no treatment for this in this country on the NHS. Her family has to cart her around to Barcelona or the United States or wherever it is that they can get treatment. Very, very expensive, very, very stressful, let alone in the middle of a pandemic. This family really needs our help, guys. So give generously, you know, whatever you can. If it's £1, fine. If it's £10, if it's £50, £100, whatever it is, it's going to a very worthwhile cause. You've got the PayPal account there. You've got the Just Giving account. Whatever you've got will be greatly accepted. I thank you very much indeed for listening to me and Duke for the last hour and 40 minutes. And if you could see your way clear helping this family, we would very much appreciate it.
We might have to put that at the start of our videos because we do have a tendency to rabbit on and it gets lost down the back end of the video. So we might have to.
True.
I'll tell you what. I'll come up with an overlay banner thing that we can just stick up at one of the start of the videos that we can lead in. I think it'll be rather than people having to sit through, you know, near enough 2 hours of us chatting shit for a daily basis.
It's all right. They'll have all turned off by now. Which actually probably makes your point right. We need to put that on at the beginning rather than at the end when they've all buggered off. So, right. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for listening. If you've made it this far, God help you. No, I don't.
On socks. Someone's going to have to help you. They really are. We're not going to.
It's all good. Right. So, thank you very much indeed. If you've made it this far, please give us a comment what your thoughts are on Duke's selection. This was a test run. So we've found a few little flaws. That's the whole point of this. Obviously, there was a few players that I missed out. Felipe Anderson, Saeed Benrahma, Angelo Ogbonna, I think I missed out. So, yeah, whatever it is, what it is. It was just a little... he was in. No, he was in. So, you know, if you're going to criticize me for that, you know, yeah, whatever. But yeah, comments below, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. As soon as we upload any new content, you will be notified. Hit the bell icon. You know the drill. Thank you very much indeed for listening, guys. Stay safe. We'll catch you again soon. Take care.
Take care.